Alright, the next best of 3 is getting set up right now. The first map's going to be New Gettysburg. It is going to be the winner's match. Harstem versus SortOf, a PvZ. Oh, damn it. And the admin says they need 3 more minutes. Oh, 4 more minutes? No, not according to my clock, good sir. This is 11:57, and you said we'll start at 7. I don't know what time zone you're in, but the minutes stay the same, alright? No. Well, alright, that sucks. Hey, let's talk about philosophy and existentialism. I don't
God
want
is
to.
dead.
Please don't. I actually took a philosophy class, and I commonly forget that I did in college. Because I really just don't think I learned that much. I actually cannot remember what I learned from that compared to the philosophy I learned in AP Literature. I think I learned about, like... I don't know, man. One thing I learned was that I had no idea philosophy got so... complicated. I guess the stereotype of philosophy is just like, it's like, you know, shower thoughts or, you know, when you're high kind of thoughts, right?
Velociraptor.
Yeah, or philosopher meme. Yeah, exactly. Like, you know, but really, like, philosophers, man, they even get, like, mathematical about some shit. Like, the whole movement to prove whether or not God was real, to actually prove if he was real, got really complicated. And that's probably why I didn't really care about it. I was like, you know what? You're never gonna answer it. I don't know why you're trying. People really tried. They really, really, really did. Anyway. People are talking about 24/7 reality show with BaseTradeTV. Yo. That would be really boring. It'd be 2 different cameras. Occasionally it wouldn't be in our rooms. You'd see
It would
my
just
cat
be me
sleeping.
finding blind spots that
occasionally.
the cameras aren't, so I could go jerk off all the time.
Oh, God. Well, at
Oh,
least you're honest.
that's what reality show's all about. It's about honesty and being real, Zombie Grub.
Then why are you hiding from the camera?
If you can't handle me at my worst, you don't deserve me at my best.
Yeah, Marilyn Monroe is actually pretty cool. There's been like so many ups and downs about whether or not you should look at her as an idol, or she was actually a terrible person, or whatever.
Out all the time. Or...
She actually did a lot of really cool shit. She's very progressive. Anywho. I guess Naruto asking a question that I also had in mind, but we're not gonna wait for... Yeah, we're not gonna get an answer, apparently. So, we're doing 2 groups today. They're all best of 3, so it's not like a super long cast, but like a little bit longer.
Oh, it's gonna be a fairly long cast.
Yeah, well, the guess is 6 hours if everything goes according to their plan, right? But the question asked is, say this ends a little bit early, because they have the expected end around 3 hours, which is 1 p.m. my time, for instance.
Ow!
So say it ends at instead like 12, which is impossible, because it's 12 right now. But whatever. Like, it ends 30 minutes early or whatever. Or what have you. Does the next one start automatically, or do you have to wait? The admin's response was, we won't know until this group ends. So, whatever.
Yep.
I guess the alternative question asked is, if this goes farther than the time that they guessed, will Group B start? And that answer is, no, Group B won't start without us casting. So now you know!
Oh, be careful with saying that. Last time we said that wasn't true.
That a group wouldn't start? I know what shade you're trying to throw at, but...
Yeah.
It's not a group.
I just...
Oh, okay, that's a little unfortunate. I guess... So, they don't want it going super long? I mean, it's not that late in Europe. If it ends at 6 million my time, but... Losers, winners from B group will play at the same time. If this goes on a little bit longer. Whatever.
Boy. Alright, well, as we get into New Gettysburg, this is a brand new series, sort of in Harstem, playing for the first time today, as it is the winner's match. The winner will get out of the group, fantastic, move on to the playoffs, and then the loser will go to the finals of the group, where he'll fight against either Sake or Euthermal. But we'll see how that shapes up. For now, we do have to look at who is spawning here. In the bottom left side, it is going to be the blue Zerg player, SortOf.
In the bottom right, as the red Protoss, he's Harstem.
Alright, and this goes for the WCA. There's $15,000 in prizing for this tournament. And I think first place is just alone 7,500. So this is a pretty big deal of an event. I wish all the players the best of luck. And these group stages are just the first step towards getting there. Well, a second step. There's qualifiers for some. But many were invited based on merit of their rank on the ladder. So some people like Harstem, for example, I don't believe... I'm thinking back. I don't think Harstem or SortOf were the ones who had to qualify. I think they were just invited.
I think so. People are always asking why didn't Snoot take the invites. There's another person who didn't take the invite either.
Yeah, and I'm wondering if that was actually taking the invite or if that was the ladder getting bumped, maybe. I'm not actually sure.
No, it was definitely not taking the invite, because they had the invited and they crossed him out like later as being replaced. Like they had the set ladder already.
Oh, okay, I didn't know that.
Yeah. So, yeah, and that the answer to that is just like Snoot's been traveling too much, and he has been traveling quite a bit. Not like within recent days, but in the past month, maybe he didn't want to do the finals. If he thought that he was participating in the Shoutcraft Clan Wars, which I'm pretty sure he is, he wouldn't be able to do the finals anyway, because those are going to conflict. Maybe he was aware of the potential mistiming for that. And there's a lot of reasons to decline an invite, even though it's a pretty good tournament that puts you so close to the money. So, ton of reasons.
I think at this point, actually, what I would be more thinking about for players like Snoot are they're looking towards BlizzCon, you know?
Yeah.
And at this point, you really don't want to show every single one of your builds. You don't want to risk your replays getting out. That would make a lot more sense to me than anything else.
That's a good point. As we do get closer to BlizzCon, there'll probably be more situations of the confirmed BlizzCon attendees. You know, the guys that just there's no way their points are going to get taken away from... Well, not taken away from them, but bumped one way or another. Are going to start hiding the replays, like kind of like boot camp training style, and
I mean, it sucks, but like
events.
if we have to miss out on a month and a half or 2 months of Snoot, but in order to see him succeed at BlizzCon, I am totally okay with that. But at the same time, I guess, giving him merit, he's been streaming and stuff. I mean, we're talking a lot about some guy who's not even in the game. We should probably be focusing on the game, I know, but just interesting things to consider as time comes closer. Every tournament relates back to BlizzCon in some small way.
Yeah.
Whether it's a player's involvement or a player's uninvolvement.
Mm-hmm. This step's not gonna do very much. We saw Zaka and New Gettysburg with that cannon rush. That was super cool. It was fun, but it's not something to replicate it more than once. And unfortunately, it is something so not to be replicated more than once that like Harstem might have been thinking about it and then saw Zaka do it and went like, "Damn it, man! Like I wanted to do that. Like you're not gonna get away with it more than once in a broadcast." It seems like. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe it's actually super abusive, but Harstem, not the type of guy. Harstem's been playing a lot of macro games, especially in this matchup. Not that he can't cheese, but he's fairly confident in that macro game. And where Zaki would, I think, mess up on those crucial move outs, you know, he'd go forward a little bit too much, he'd be in the open area too often. Harstem does not make those mistakes as often, so I'm pretty confident, even though it is New Gettysburg, in Harstem's ability to even 2-0, but Harstem is also that guy that just has been very, like, yeah, when he's good, he's super good. Great, amazing. But then you like, hype him up, you get him all, like, you know, ramped up and whatnot, and then he's not that Harstem, and there's no other explanation for it other than, like, well, I guess he got 3-0'd, that kind of sucks. Womp womp. Hopefully the on board, on the hot streak Harstem is here.
I mean, Harstem, when he plays good, he plays really good. You talk about the hot streak of Harstem. I mean, Home Story Cup was a great example for him. He's not had a lot of super amazing, crazy results, but I actually just already seen that series for Sea Thermal. Him responding to it was a very different play. Like, that's not something you prepare for, right? You don't plan against Cyclones. You just react really well to seeing them. And I think for SortOf as well, same thing. Zerg player, SortOf being a good player too. Harstem's going to have to do a certain amount of, like, okay, I plan to go with depths, but also then react to what Harstem throws back, or SortOf throws back at him. Is it a lot of Banelings? Is it going to be Ravagers? That's what's going to tell us how good or hot Harstem's looking today.
Well, this is a fairly big Adept attack. SortOf does have a lot of Lings, and Queen's already prepared, though, and Harstem's not going to commit to it. Just going to, I guess, keep the Lings from flooding him. On this side of things, of course, northern side he has no scouting, and the Lings could try and run by. It'd be very dangerous, though. They need to be back home protecting their drones. Even though the third would be so tempting.
Well, just gonna chill on the bridge for the time being. There's not really anything for them to do at the moment. If he did go all the way north, maybe he pressures that fourth, but the bridge is just the safety. You know that there's no amount of Lings or even Banelings to a degree that can come through. And Harstem's proved through several matches his full capability to abuse that bridge, whether it was force fields, whether it's segmenting the Adepts into groups of 2 and splitting them amongst the bridge, or just piloning on the other side. Like, that's his territory. Don't go there.
Mm-hmm.
Picks up in the Warp Prism now, though. He's going to be able to get some drops off. And we'll see if he gets any warp-ins. SortOf was actually doing a pretty good job. Sake had lost, like, 3+ Warp Prisms in his series?
Yes. 3, maybe 4 the last minute. I can't remember. But definitely 3. Warp Prism gets in the main. A single Sport Car is in a decent position. And Warp Prism probably just has to leave. Oh, God. They don't take that hull damage, but it happened anyway. Queens maybe could have gotten a few more shots off. Oh well. Lang scouted the third base was set up, and there's really nothing to be done at this point in time, so sort of goes for a fourth base. I mean, very much like a powering macro game. Harstem could have tried to let some things happen with the Adepts, but was sort of defense hitting, so not much damage being done on either side. Almost perfectly even workers until just now. And Baneling Ravager on the way for SortOf.
So that's where the Baneling part of this really gets alarming for me. We've seen Banelings do really well. We've seen Banelings do really badly. And I just feel like every Protoss on this map takes a really bad fight around their third at some point to somebody who makes a lot of Banelings. Oh, poor Derby Warp Prism down here. But Harstem is not just your average player. We'll see if that ends up being the case or not. I do like to see sort of already opening up the pathways through the middle of the map, those chanting on those rocks. To make sure he's got every opportunity possible to get around the map.
Mm-hmm.
Big shouts to thank you to Horn Freak for the new sub hype.
Cool
Yeah, this is not really Banelings yet. Now Harstem's on his way to Storm. It'll be a bit of time before he's got 3 or 4 Storms to throw out. But if there's any amount of surround, this is a lot of Lings. Yeah, 4 Depths is like laughable.
Yeah, I want to get a scout though.
I actually let them through. I'm surprised. That'd be like an instant cancel.
It probably should have been. At 4 Adepts at this point, not too much of consequence. Could have been left till later, though. I think that would have been a better move. Sees the exact type of army, even gonna bother killing Loose Nation. Actually, not worth.
Throw spells free.
Yeah, that's true. The Banelings on the way now, I guess that's what he didn't want the Hallucinated Phoenix to scout, is how many Banelings. Storm was about done. We got a good number of Immortals. The Adepts are definitely gonna have to either protect themselves with the force fields, or just split automatically as he sees the army moving in. Ling's trying to get a run by. Not a bad move from SortOf, but Harstem's on top of things. I don't think SortOf's going to get any clever maneuvers here. He's probably just going to have to
not with Storms ready.
Attack.
I mean, look at that. First Storm already takes out most of the Banelings, pushes them back. Harstem's also got a Time Warp available if necessary. Not such a great spell, but something that could help him hugely if he lands it on that ramp.
I think SortOf's gonna have to. SortOf is posturing. He's trying to get some clever maneuvers done with Lings and Banelings, but I think it's clear that he's not gonna get that easy peasy roll in with mass Banelings. I'm so surprised he's making 17 more, and instead, I would have expected him to go into Hive. He did get the Infestation Pit after all. Storms come down. Banelings still end up rolling into a lot of the Adepts, but so much of the core army is still alive. The Immortals, the Archons. Oh, whoa! What was that? He just ran into a bunch of Banelings.
Yeah,
he gets way over aggressive.
But the Storms also end up taking out most of SortOf's army, so it ends up almost being a worthwhile bait, even though it wasn't on purpose.
That was so weird.
The Immortals pretty much removed from the equation. There's no really overcharges to fall back on. I'm getting really worried for Harstem.
Yeah. I don't know if I'm so worried quite yet. That was like a really odd little thing right there. I just was expecting SortOf to disengage the same way that I was, I suppose, trying to predict as opposed to actually looking to what was on his screen. 2 more models pop out. This one, unfortunately, does end up going down, but it's just trading out the army. This 4th base has been alive for some time. SortOf just has never bothered going for with like a Ling wraparound or anything like that. He was looking more forward those army fights. And that might be SortOf's biggest mistake here. Is that could have been considered a freebie with how defensive Harstem had to be. War Prism being used as a bit of scouting.
So this kind of goes back on that point, though. It's New Gettysburg. You're going to have such a rough time around your 3rd defending as Harstem. We knew this before he didn't have to fight. I think he knew it, too. But I like that he did still take a pretty decent fight. This didn't end up being a huge shit show, because it sometimes does.
Mm-hmm. Sort of going for that Greater Spire, it looks like. The timing's there for the Hive, anyway. 12 probes went down. A transfer? Actually, not sure where that happened. Well, brings Harstem down to 68. It's not like a big deal. Surprised he was up at 80 to begin with. +2 or +2. Grades have been even for some time.
That Greater Spire starts up.
Yep.
And unfortunately, well, SortOf has a moderate army of whatever for Harstem to fight now. They'd probably trade evenly if we did have a fight go down. Harstem doesn't really have anti-air. Now, he might guess timings, and he should know timings of like, okay, we're at about 12 minutes. I'm sure Hive's done by now. At some point, Greater Spire will come out because I'm Protoss. He's going to have a really bad time. It's just not enough anti-air.
Yeah, at this point, with the 4th base up and the engagement's kind of been over for some time, I'm surprised Harstem, well, first of all, I was going to send this Hallucinate Phoenix out, but I guess not a lot of sentries, right? No more sentries, but just the usual predicting that comes down from a Protoss. A lot of really good Protosses know the pacing of a ZVP and throw down a Stargate, you know, as soon as they know their 4th base is secured. But the 4th base is not so secured as Harstem chases armies to the top, leaves the south all defenseless. At least saves the probes, oddly enough. But the Nexus certainly goes down. He can replace it pretty quickly. He's gonna go ahead and counterattack, though. Immortal's gonna help against those Banelings should they have chosen to roll in. And the upgrades aren't going to be quite done for SortOf, but his Lings are going to be very powerful. They're about to have Uniglands at least.
The problem, if Harstem splits, then the Lings get surrounded. If he doesn't split, then the Banelings get splash damage. It's a really unfavorable scenario either way.
Those Corruptors.
The Corruptors take out that Warp Prism so quickly, so no reinforcements on that front line for Harstem. Army supplies, both dropping fairly quickly. You know, explosions from Banelings on one side, Archon Blast on the other. But the thing for SortOf is, like, let's not forget, there's a good 12 to 20 supply there in Corruptors.
Yeah, that's a good point. But unfortunately, without Harstem's Warp Prism or even a proxy pylon for slow warp-ins, Defender's Advantage is going to kick in for SortOf. And Harstem still has not replaced that 4th base, so GG.
All right, SortOf will be the one to take that first game of the series. That is a little bit surprising.
A little. Harstem made, I think, one pretty crucial mistake there. I think what actually he wanted to do was not like he was looking away. I think he wanted to send the Immortals, or if he had any Archons, forward to soak the Banelings, like we just witnessed him in that last fight do.
Yeah.
And then accidentally moved his entire army forward.
I feel like even the best Protoss players on that level are like, how do Terrans pull this shit off with Marauders? It makes no sense.
Yeah.
But okay, we'll get game 2 up as soon as we can, guys. I'm probably going to hop into a small break because these are taking a while, so do stick around. We'll see you guys in a couple minutes. Thanks for watching.
Hello, Rifkin had to be right back. We do have Frozen Temple as the next map here, and we're going into game. Harstem is Protoss. Almost played as Terran. That would have been interesting.
Yeah, I'm back. Sorry. Hi.
Hello.
Emergency averted for the time being.
Alright then. Alright, in the top left, as the red Zerg, he is SortOf.
And his opponent in the bottom right, I guess I keep thinking he almost picked Terran, I guess, but luckily landed on Protoss. It's Harstem.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, things going a little bit slow today, and it would appear the players are not super thrilled about that either, but it's okay. It's a lot of money on the line, so I don't think anyone's going to be rage quitting anytime soon. But, why did this guy answer? He's a Swedish caster. He, like, doesn't understand what Harstem's doing at all.
He just wanted to be involved.
I'm not laughing at him. I'm laughing at like the innocence of that response, like the total naivety of like, oh, he's fucking with SortOf, but didn't realize. Like,
Well,
too
it's also
good.
just like you're in observer mode. Like, calm down.
No, I know. I just, never mind.
No, him. He wouldn't be able to respond anyway if he really could, regardless
I
of his
know. That's what I'm
innocence.
saying. It's like the innocence, the naivety is just adorably hilarious. Anyways, I do want to point out because there has been some banter in between games, and oftentimes we don't get to see a lot of that. There's actually rules against it. I want to make it perfectly clear. Like Harstem,
Well,
sort of like a lot of these guys who are playing, they're all pretty close friends. You see them on Skype calls, you see them doing stuff together all the time, you see them tweeting at each other. I just want to make sure in case anything does get mentioned today, there's no like salt or bullshit going on. These guys are all buddies.
yeah. We're actually casting WCA, not WCS, so I don't know if there's any rules about it.
I hope there's not. I actually think it's more fun. I actually really like when players bring out some of their personality, and it kind of sucks when you get stale tournaments where you can't really like Hearthstone would be hilarious to have with certain Koreans in the same game. Like I think like him and Parting would have phenomenal banter in game, but then some people just would not respond to him, so it wouldn't be very interesting, and so he doesn't try. And I wish that wasn't the case. StarCraft 2 players are less interesting dynamically than most other games.
I'm pretty sure they implemented that rule because of the little shit talkers that they don't just talk and like try and start a discussion while they're cheesing you or something like that, but that they start like cursing you out and whatnot, and by just blanket ruling it, you don't have to deal with it. You just ban those types of guys.
I wonder if it would be more for that. I'm sure this encompasses everything, man. But I wonder if it's more for that or more for the players that are more, like, say, the Nurchios, who actually get under your skin and tilt you with words and make you play worse for it.
I doubt that they considered they're like it's unfair that Nurchio can distract a player. Well, it might be. I don't know.
Well, I don't think they singled him out, but I do
well,
imagine
we're
there's
using
some
him as an
discussion of
example.
like, yeah, I don't think it's fair that somebody
That's-
can distract another person.
That's why Kespa did it. That's why you can only say GG and like PPP, and I don't even think you say good luck, have fun.
Can't do 3Ps though.
No,
That's
that's
dangerous.
that's what you do. 3Ps.
Which was the thing then with Stefano?
No, that was because he put please pause. Like PP, you think is correct. It's not. It's PPP. That's kind of like a whole
Okay.
joke that makes it even worse, right? But the
Today I
reason
learned. Yeah.
the reason they put that in there is because Boxer kind of started it by like saying that he didn't have enough room in his base when actually he was proxying. So like he messed up his opponent because was like, maybe we shouldn't let this happen. But anyway, enough tidbits of information. Resident Glaze is on the way. Evolution Chamber for SortOf pretty early on. I mean, this might just be for +1 melee, but it also could be used for Overlord drops. He does have a lot of lings roaming around looking for dark shrines, looking for proxy pylons, and also maybe looking for an accessible way into the base. Sometimes when you go silent, I wonder if you're silently screaming in pain, talking with chat, or
Well, luckily-
putting a band-aid on your nipple.
That was for break. That was not public, okay? That was. Just now
Wait,
no
so
one's
is
gonna
that
understand the context
what
of
you
that.
were doing?
I was fiddling with it, but anyways, yeah. To explain now that you've outed me a bit here, my cat. I can't wear shirts for those who don't know, so my cat jumped off me when I went to hug her and dug her hind claws into my nipple. I was bleeding a bit. So thanks, Zombie.
Good.
Thanks a lot for that. That makes me feel great. Actually, I will say though, it's nice that I'm past that point where the majority of the time it was for the pain. No longer is it screaming and writhing. Now I just kind of whine about it when it happens. Stop muting myself.
Oh, okay. Well, whatever the reason. Fourth base is being put down right now. We did have double Stargate from Harstem, which I think sort of got on top of. Like, literally, his Overlord is right there. Yeah, it did. So that's an interesting little addition. For a long time, double Stargate was the thing to do, especially in, like, Dust Towers, but then it fell off. I think too many things were too hard to hold, even though Phoenixes in large numbers can be helpful. They can also still be kind of useless against, like, Masslings and even against Baneling Floods, right? But it's a cool, I think, especially in the hands of the right Protoss, like a good Protoss. double Stargate openers can be very cool. And surprisingly useful. We've actually seen a couple of games, I call back to a couple of games on like Arena, where the Protoss player like surprisingly went for double Stargate, and then the Zerg player didn't have spore crawlers or enough spore crawlers in time because they hid the Phoenix. Harstem might have wanted to do that, but of course with the Overlord Scout he wasn't really able to.
Well, the Phoenix count is high enough to certainly harass with. I'm wondering, yeah, with the double robo, I guess he'll be using his gas more for those units rather than the continued air production. Maybe if this was a lot more dedicated to SortOf, we'd start seeing some like really, really desperate Void Rays, but he's fine, he's good. His ground army can take on this little Zergling force, and the Phoenix are actually scouting now to police what comes up out of the base afterwards. But with a lot of queens, I doubt they'll get much done.
Bless you.
Okay, thank you for your drink.
Well, you actually sneezed. That's the difference there. That is a lot of Lings. I mean, he's already at 71 drones, so I guess he can make whatever army he wants, but not advancing tech to any Roaches or Ravagers. It's a lot of Queens actually involved as well. It was a response to the Phoenix, but I mean, they could try and go across the map and help. It is going to be pure Ling, Baneling. They're going to have centrifugal hooks, depending on when sort of attacks. Maybe they're going to have +2. But that's still a ways off if he's waiting for +2. So Harstem should be able to get to at least Archons with Templar Archives. Not quite Storm, actually, as sort of is making the Banelings right now. If he rolls in, they won't have that upgrade.
But I'm really worried. Harstem doesn't even have that many sentries out. There's not a lot of force fields available, and he's actually going to get hit from the south side simultaneously. Baneling's going to roll in down there to the third base. So this mineral line not being paid attention to. Big hits go off. Huge probe kills. Now in the main fight, we got the Banelings colliding in, and there's just not a lot to stop them. Ling's got to surround the Stalkers, and Harstem's supply dipping pretty harsh. That +1 melee from sort of helping chew through so much of this, but I guess he's finally starting to run out of steam. He did kill a lot of workers with this attack. There's 16, and Harstem definitely did not see that third base attack coming.
Yeah, that was pretty unfortunate, as the SimCity could have been set up, I guess, better. But the question always is, was that worth it? That's a lot of Banelings. That's a lot of bank just gone, although he was banking beyond that. And he is advancing to Infestation Pit now, but had he not killed so much, Harstem might have had a deadly counterattack, but Harstem still needs time to recover. He's getting charged, he's getting +1. The charge might seem a little weird, you know, like why not go Blink Stalkers, which can take a hit and are, you know, acceptable to Banelings and can micro, but if you do things absolutely correctly, the Adepts, the charge lots, whatever you have, can be pulled back, they can be saved, and then they're going to help clean up the Lings afterwards, because that sometimes is actually the worst part, is the Lings with their upgrades that are left over.
Yeah, I mean, the charge dealing 8 damage is kind of nice, too. Just on top of all that more damage going out.
Yeah. Greater Spire is once again the option for SortOf. Harstem would like to get to a 4th base as he gets his army set up too. Might be afraid of a follow-up attack because his scouting has been very, very limited, and that's actually super unfortunate considering you got Phoenix. Banelings this time not able to find that quick roll in. A lot of Lings on top of a lot of Immortals that are away from the army. Is it enough Lings though? All the Banelings are gone. Looks like it isn't. Even with +2, you know, the Archon's doing a lot of splash damage, the Cannon was helping a little bit, the Adepts were there as well. But it still was a decent trade. As long as SortOf can survive, if Harstem does decide to attack, then it's all good. And Harstem is not attacking, nor is he expanding, and I fear that he's just in kind of a limbo situation here. There we go. 4th base is to the north, actually. Okay.
The 4th in the north.
Mm-hmm.
It rhymes, so it just sounds nice.
Sure.
That's so many Banelings morphing in right now. I guess there weren't really that many already, so it's not, oh my gosh, there's 80 Banelings in play. There's going to be 30, which is actually not that much, all things considered. SortOf's army is mostly Immortals and Archons at this point, not really a lot of these light gateway units. So these, I mean, don't get me wrong, Banelings splashing on anything as long as they hit clumped up things are always going to be good, but he's not clumped up. He's already pre-spread.
Well, if SortOf, I think if SortOf plays this correctly, he doesn't even need to roll in. All I need to do is threaten to roll in and then go for Brood Lords, and Harstem will be in a lot of trouble. Phalanx, again, not proving too useful. They just break down the wall a little bit, but it's enough. Not enough.
Thank God for the
follow up.
cannons. Here's that big attack, though. The Lings decide to dive in, but Harstem realizes that's quite a bit. He doesn't want to commit just yet. Problem is, though, like with Morse Templar warping in, he doesn't know whether there's storms or not. Everything looks a little bit scary to scout, and for Harstem's sake, obviously it's a little bit more bare bones. It's not so obvious to someone like SortOf.
Harstem, Stargates, no. See, the worst thing about this is not that Harstem doesn't have Stargates, because sometimes they think the Tempests aren't even going to be accessible, even if they can't get the Stargates down. Getting to like 5 Tempests is really difficult. It's that at least they have Blink, you know, and I could make up all types of arguments as to why Harstem could just be relying on Blink. Because it can sometimes work. You find the Blue's out of position, you take a decent ground fight first of all, but he doesn't have Blink. He doesn't have any Stalkers whatsoever. Like,
oh no.
The Broodlord should just end this game, unless there can be some weird type of base trade.
Well, I mean, with the double Stargates he had opened with, there's the potential he does start getting some air units. It might not be Tempest, but I mean, Phoenixes are better than nothing.
Yeah. The lack of a fleet beacon, the lack of actual Tempests.
There's the revelation. Maybe not the Oracle skill, but the reveal of the Broodlords.
Yeah. The third base is about to be cleaned up, actually. I don't think Harstem's going to lose it, but the Broodlords have no response.
He did already kill 21 workers.
Yeah. Archon's trying to get underneath. This is where Blink Stalkers would have been the answer. This is where, like you said, Phoenixes could have been the answer.
He's
but
losing everything. He's too surrounded. GG.
That's GG.
SortOf takes the game.
Yeah, and the series. So he's going to advance off into the round of 8, whereas Harstem has to wait for the decider match.
So congratulations to him. Now the problem, though, is these next couple of games are going to be a little bit tight. Again, you got Euthermal versus Sake. I think most of us assume it's going to be Euthermal, but Sake surprised us once. Maybe he'll surprise us again. And then the winner plays Harstem. Either way, it's a pretty tough set.
Yep. We are going to be going into that loser's match as soon as the vetoes are done, because they're not doing them while we wait, as I've learned. And the lobby is set up, so see you guys soon.